Salute, salute. The streets are buzzing. Hope everyone's doing well. How we doing? Let's get into it. Ready to chop this thing up is the New York Knicks performing in FIBA action, ready for the second round as Team USA and Team Canada advance. We'll talk about what's next. Who do they play? When do they play? And their most recent performance. RJ Barrett continues to be efficient, consistent with Team Canada. Josh Hart got the start today, produced in the rebound department like always, being that junkyard dog, getting accolades from Steve Kerr, the coach, and Jalen Brunson leading the troops. Let's get into it. Salute, salute, salute. How we feeling, everyone? Ready to chop this thing up. Salute JJ, salute chat. Let's talk about it as, like I said, the New York Knicks are going into this tournament deep. And proper competition now, knockout ball. No shade on the previous group stages, but some of these opponents have been light work for Team USA specifically. But kudos to RJ Barrett, helping Team Canada, playing a huge role, and especially in their most recent win over Latvia, 101-75. That was more challenging. RJ Barrett really needed to give Canada a boost, and he did. 22 points, 5 rebounds, and was efficient. And they came from behind because, man, Latvia started out really strong, shot the ball well, great offense, player movement. They got hot, and Canada had to come from behind. But RJ Barrett, with his 22 points, was 9 of 14, and 5 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from deep. Also, rebounding, 5 rebounds, 2 personal fouls, no turnovers in 30 minutes. So good performance from RJ Barrett against, a more solid opponent. And we're into the second round. Like I said, we'll talk about it. After we've chopped up Team USA's big win today, we'll look ahead to the group stages. And when Canada, RJ Barrett, and Team USA play again, and who do they play? The games are this Friday coming up in the morning, and Sunday, the next 2 games in the group. The opponents are tougher, and our New York Knicks will continue to ball out and step up, but they have to advance into the next round. The opponents are getting tougher, and we'll talk about it. But one of the major stories with Team USA, man, was not just RJ Barrett with Canada, but Josh Hart got the start. So Steve Kerr wanted to make sure that, there's a little bit more balance within the starting unit, and insert Josh Hart in place of Brandon Ingram for rebounding and role-playing purposes, just blending in with Jalen Brunson, and obviously complementing Ant-Man, who's the main scorer. Jalen Brunson filling it up too. So, these guys not playing major minutes on Team USA as you'd expect, which is great. 18 minutes for JB, 10 points, 4 assists as they defeated Jordan. And Brunson was efficient as well, 5 of 8, and 5 of 6 from the field, and 0 of 2 from deep. So missed his 2 3-pointers, but was a plus 30, and had 4 assists. So, like I said, man, I'm glad for the second round now. These guys deserve to advance, but the competition's been pretty easy. But really pleased for Josh Hart, to see him get this opportunity now. And we have 2 New York Knicks in the starting unit for Team USA. Not saying he might not adjust and go back to Brandon Ingram, but we'll hear from Steve Kerr. It does look like he's set on having Josh Hart, the new starting wing. So it's Brunson, Ant-Man, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart as the small ball 4, and of course the starting center, Jaren Jackson. What do you guys think about that? Salute JJ. Kerr got to stop tampering with our guys, Brunson and Hart. Good one, man. it just goes to show we got some, we got some good ones. But yeah, Hart's rebounding obviously was the standout, man, with 12 rebounds in 17 minutes. He just knows where's to be on the floor. It's not just about your size. It's reading the flight of the ball, boxing out, positioning, and just being hard, being hustling. Johnny Davis, JD, Trini, salute, mega. I'm feeling good about this tournament. Yeah, these guys going further. So Team USA will play Montenegro on Friday, and then they'll play Lithuania on Sunday, both morning games. We'll look at the times in a minute. But Montenegro obviously got Nick Vucevic. Lithuania got Rokas Jokubaitis, possibly future Nick, and an NBA big man, Jonas Valanciunas. So I expect them to still get through, but much tougher competition. Like, these guys aren't just going to roll over like Jordan, New Zealand and Greece later in the games, right? No discredit to them. But yeah, there's a huge talent gap. And Canada, with RJ Barrett, will face tough competition as well. They'll play Brazil and Spain, as we know. So yeah, these guys are going to really have to step up, and I think they will. But it's just great to see them really playing, high-level competition ball in this off-season, and get a chance to really get a fine-tune up for the Knicks training camp. And obviously they're here to win a medal. I'm fully behind them. All right, hope USA win gold and Canada can win silver or gold. Right, whoever's the best team, may the best team win. But I think, yeah, it's an early preview, but I can expect to see those two teams, my prediction, in the gold medal game. But of course, yeah, with this knockout competition, you just never know. Salute Kerry, what's good? On that note, yeah, Evan Fournier in France played one of their final group games, more of a consolidation prize. They're knocked out, they're eliminated. But Evan Fournier was pretty solid offensively again. So he's now pondering his future, right? There's still talk. He spoke to a media outlet and still wanting that trade. So let's see. Let's see if he ends up coming into camp. I think it could go either way. I think Evan Fournier might sit out camp. If the Knicks can say, hey, we're close to a trade, we'll try and accommodate. But otherwise, if not, I think he still will come to camp. I don't think he'll kind of create too much of a fuss early, but we'll see. Obviously, we've got bigger fish to fry with that situation now, with our guys in FIBA and the rest of the New York Knicks winding up their summer workouts. But yeah, the theme is with Canada and RJ Barrett. He's been really efficient and playing a bigger role for the team. Obviously, like we said, no Wiggins, no Jamal Murray. He's really needing to step up. And he had 14 shot attempts, 9 of 14. So that was bigger than his last game, 30 minutes. So yeah, Bully Barrett's usage seems to be going up, and he's producing. The most pleasing thing for me is the shooting, 4 of 6 from deep from Barrett. And of course, 64% from the field also. But he was hard on himself post-game with his 0 of 4 from the line. So he missed all 4 free throws, and he actually spoke about it. We'll hear from Bully Barrett in a minute. But yeah, it's good to hear him acknowledge that. Free throw shooting is not just for every player. It's not just him, but every Knick needs to improve. I think this is a big season for the New York Knicks, and we've definitely lost a lot of points at the line, most recently in the last couple of seasons, and I think we can really improve on that. Let's hear from Bully Barrett right now.
First time ever. What changed in that second half for this team to really ignite?
I think first the change in the second quarter, we were able to fight back, come and take the lead at halftime, and then in the second quarter, third quarter, we just said we need to, like, deliver the first blow. I mean, they got us at the beginning of the game, so we wanted to come out just with energy and toughness.
What'd you learn about this team, about facing adversity really for the first time in this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, just about this group, we got to start a lot better. We learned that we might not be able to afford a 11-point deficit in some of these other games. So just credit to us. We stuck together, coach challenged us, and we got it done.
I was going to ask you about the challenging part.
Yeah.
What happened in that locker room at the half?
It started from before that, and just us being able to regroup in the middle of the game, not even wait till halftime was was pretty impressive to see.
Shea goes off for 16 in the third. When he gets going the way he does, what does that mean for this team?
He seems to do that a lot. But no, when he gets going like that, we normally blow the game out the water. He's obviously a special player, and we're going to need him.
You finding your rhythm too now?
For sure. Last couple games have been a lot better for me, so just trying to continue to do that. I got to make some free throws, though.
RJ, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that part. Got to make some free throws. That's good. But he left that till last. But yeah, the main thing is the positive part of RJ Barrett's performance with that game. Latvia, one of the strongest opponents, that they faced in the group stage as well. He's learning that chemistry, playing with SGA. And I think, not just him, but you could see Team USA. They're all getting better every single game that they're playing. They haven't played a lot of ball with these teammates. And it's taking time to gel. But they're not gonna have too much time now, as the competition's getting tougher. So, like JJ said, these start times are fairly rough, but the Canada times are pretty good. Eastern time for everyone on the East Coast. Canada will play Brazil Friday morning, 9:30 a.m. Friday. I know some people obviously are at work, but you'll obviously no doubt catch it on your lunch break or after work. And then they'll play Spain on Sunday, 9:30 a.m. as well. So that'll be must watch. Spain obviously got the Hernan Gomez brothers, Usman Garuba, currently a free agent, Salty Aldama, Victor Claver, no doubt, Bo Cruz, of course. But that's going to be tough. But Brazil before that. So you see the new groups on screen. Canada are in the group with Latvia. They also advanced with Spain and Brazil. So only the top two teams can then get through now. So with that said, I think, and all the teams carry over their previous wins. So Canada basically undefeated. All they've got to do is just make no doubt about it and win both their games, and they'll advance. And then they will merge with the top two winners of the group earlier: Slovenia, Germany, Australia, Georgia. So in the quarterfinals, if Canada can get through past Brazil, past Spain, they will set up a quarterfinal matchup possibly with Luka Doncic and Slovenia, Dennis Schroeder and Germany, or Josh Giddey, Paddy Mills with Australia. So quarterfinals are going to be tough. I still expect Canada to get through that next second round. But those are the times, fam. With Team USA, right, Montenegro and Nick Vucevic on Friday morning, 4:40 a.m. Ouch. That's tough, but catch it on the replay. We'll be covering it post-game as well. And Lithuania, Sunday, 8:40, not too bad. Jonas Valanciunas, Rokas Jokubaitis, former Nick Izzy Brazdegas in the house. That's going to be a good game. So finally, no easy games anymore, and it's going to be great. Great competition. We'll be talking about it. Speaking of talking about it, let's hear from JB.
First round, what did you learn about the tournament and how better you feel it can be as the tournament goes on?
The tournament, it's pretty crazy. Anything can happen. But I think the most important thing is that you have to focus on the opponent in front of you. You can't focus on what's happening in other groups or who can be where or what. Just focusing on what we can control. And a lot of good teams here, a lot of good players here. It's all about how we stick together.
And how satisfied you are about the versatility of this team and the way that you deal with adversities?
For us, it's all about how just putting our egos to the side. Now we want to win. That's the thing that's really important, that we all care about, is winning. And as long as that's at the forefront of our mind,
Get out, rest tonight, get off our... Jalen 3-0 in the first round. What did you learn about the tournament and how better you feel it can be?
Yeah, so those were quotes from JB, really putting the ego aside and leading the team. But his chemistry together with Ant-Man's just been special. Another efficient game. Basically, Brunson's been efficient every single game, but not on high volume. So he's basically picking his spots, but he's being the great teammate that he is, and knowing that he's got the talent that he does, he's helping them get set up. So that's beautiful to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing these next matchups. I expect USA to beat Montenegro. I think the Lithuania game could be the closest game Team USA could face. Obviously got some high-level guards playing in Europe, and an NBA solid big man, Jonas Valanciunas. So I expect Lithuania to give them their biggest challenge, but they'll still get through. So USA, what awaits them for the quarterfinals? It would be either Serbia, Dominican Republic, and Karl Anthony Towns, Bogdanovic with Serbia as well. So that what awaits the USA in the quarterfinals when they get through. No doubt they'll get through. Obviously, they carry 3 wins into the second round as well, so they can still afford one slip-up and probably still qualify as well. So that's the advantage of winning all 3 first-round group games. But we'll also, like the chat saying, we'll hear from Steve Kerr on Josh Hart and getting the start big time.
Different lineups, and the tricky part with FIBA is that you only have a few weeks to figure out your team, and as opposed to an NBA season where you have 6, 7, 8 months. So we just felt like it was important to take a look at Josh with the starting group and Brandon with the next group, and see if the combinations fit. And I liked what I saw. I mean, obviously, the game wasn't competitive, but there was good flow with both groups, and so we'll see. We haven't made any decisions going forward, but we just wanted to kind of look at some different things. We just wanted to look at some different lineups, and the tricky part with. Yep.
So, wanted to look at the different lineups. As he said, it was important to take that look at Josh Hart. He produced 12 rebounds. Only shot 2 attempts, missed both. But Josh Hart's not there for his offense, especially playing with guys like Ant-Man and Mikal Bridges and Jaren Jackson in the starting unit. What do you guys really think about this? You think long-term in this group, in the final elimination stage, will Josh Hart continue to start for this team? I think it makes a lot of sense. Salute Michael, Jet Life, what's good? I think it makes sense for Team USA. Just a nice complementary piece for the rest of the starting unit. And then Brandon Ingram, Austin Reeves, Tyrese can get it popping off the bench for those guys. Look, Josh Hart brings in, that intensity, the energy needed to start games well as well. You talk about a guy who's only 6'4", but to pull the rebounds in that he does, you can't deny it. And what he does for any team that he's on, basically. So, huge shout out, great accolade for him. To be able to, to put his name out there and really do it. And I'm looking forward to seeing, him continue to produce for the team. So get these Bully Barrett highlights on screen. a lot of people have been asking, like FIBA ball, okay, are these guys improving? What can we read out of all of this, right? Honestly, my honest opinion is in the first round, I don't think we can read a whole lot. You could certainly read a little bit more into RJ Barrett's performances with Canada because he's playing a much bigger role than Brunson and Hart. I'm not learning anything new with Brunson and Hart that I didn't already know. But obviously RJ Barrett just turned 23, a player who's super young still and a ceiling that is untapped for this team. More of my eyes and attention is on that situation in Canada. As I said, the most pleasing thing is he's been consistent, regardless of your opponents. The shooting has been more consistent than what we've been seeing. Not turning the ball over, which is great. I'd love to see the free throws improve. But in terms of just doing what he's needed to do, helping his team win, come from behind, shoot the ball well from deep. And let's see how he does, against Brazil and Spain. Like I said, the first round I'm not reading a whole lot into. Not really NBA level opponents. But they will get that in Brazil and they will get that against Spain. So yeah, that's my thoughts on what we can read into. In terms of Hart, we know what he can do. We've seen it firsthand. And especially Jalen Brunson. For Team USA and for me, I just want these guys to win the gold, get out of this tournament healthy, produce like they have been, and get over to Knicks training camp once this is a wrap. We'll have a nice mini vacay, and then get over to Knicks training camp. But it's certainly been a good learning experience for guys like Brunson and Hart, playing with the high-level teammates that they have, and also, learning against the international competition that'll be, knockout stakes later in the tournament, which is the closest thing to playoffs, as I mentioned as well. One thing is about the group stage in FIBA, it's basically like regular season NBA. The games don't mean as much. But when you're talking about later into this tourney, then it's similar to like playoffs. It's put up, it's produce or you're out, basically. In terms of your feelings towards RJ's performance, let us know. JJ says, I'm waiting for the season to see if RJ Barrett improves or to see what's been the improvements in his off-season. Remember last season was quite interrupted with the talks about Donovan Mitchell. RJ Barrett didn't get to really play for Team Canada, but now he is. And I think we've seen it before with so many players, fam. Like with Melo, with other players carry that momentum into an NBA season. And it's just all about confidence as well. What's good, guys? Appreciate you rocking out. Great to be with you. Outside of that, I mean, we don't normally get to see competitive ball in any off-season before training camp. So that's another huge bonus, like for these guys. But really looking forward to what's next in this tournament. Karl Anthony Towns, I've really got to stand up and pay attention to what he's doing. Dominican Republic, undefeated in the group rounds. He's producing. Talking about a guy who can shoot the ball. He's been shooting it lights out. He's going to get a real test against Serbia. Bogdanovic also. They've been really consistent, winning all of their games too. So with that said, after USA advance, they're going to face tougher competition, which is in a quarterfinal knockout round. But as I said, Jonas Valanciunas, I think, with Lithuania, should give USA and Jaren Jackson some competition. Nick Vucevic, we know he's a good offensive player, but defensively, I think Montenegro will still struggle against Team USA's defense. But the third group is most intriguing. Slovenia, Germany, and Australia. Any two of those three teams could get through. They're all laden with NBA players. and they'll face Canada and Spain or whoever gets through their group as well. So, like I said, I'm going to read a lot more into this next round, and I look forward to covering it, getting on and talking about it after the games. When the stakes are higher, what do we see from RJ Barrett? The stakes were certainly high against his last game in Latvia, versus Latvia, and he stood up big time and produced. So, like what Kerry's saying, not giving up on RJ yet, not yet. Yeah, look, in terms of what your expectations are, everyone's going to have their different opinions. For this team, RJ Barrett, any level of elevation we know is going to help the New York Knicks. So I'm rooting for any player, and I'm getting behind them. We know what all of our players' weaknesses are, and in terms of them, we just want to see them work hard. We want to see them put in the work and improve on that. And the biggest thing with RJ that's going to take this Knicks team to another level is the shooting. But yeah, so far that's been the most pleasing thing for me, and the low amount of turnovers as well. Even if RJ Barrett took a huge leap, the fact is, is he going to become the second highest usage guy on the Knicks? I doubt it. Not with Julius Randle and not with Jalen Brunson here. If he was to become an all-star level player in a couple of years, then that would change 100%. But as of right now, coming into this next Knicks season, I think RJ Barrett's still the third option on offense. But defensively, should he take another huge leap, he could solidify that wing spot for the future. 6'7", built like a truck. Maybe he's got a slight little extra growth coming. He might creep up to 6'8". That will help. But he's got the size to really, be a solid defender. Obviously, a lot of people would like a 6'8", 6'9" wing, like a Brandon Ingram, OG Anunoby. But 6'7", if you're a solid defender, you got good size, he could hold down that spot for the New York Knicks in the future. We wait to see. One thing I'm always skeptical about is, everything outside of the New York Knicks around the league is out of our control. We're always trying to rely on a team trading a player to us, or, hopefully a player choosing us in free agency. Right now, the best thing we can control is the players that we have. And that's players that are young, like RJ Barrett, like Grimes, like Quickly. These guys continuing to develop, taking another leap. That's really going to get us to the Eastern Conference Finals, to the NBA Finals, and then we can make serious noise. And I really feel like this year's team coming in is going to stay packed. Unless something drastically changes, like a big trade request from somebody. I think this year, this is the squad. This year, this is the squad. Yeah, 100%, Michael, you summed it up. Second round action in FIBA will be awesome for all of our guys. Yep, knockout rounds, kind of like the playoffs. Basically, you've got to win. Every game is a must win to get through. Jet Life says RJ 6'6", 6'6", 6'7". A lot of the measurements are up and they're down. But actually, RJ Barrett's got, in terms of a wingspan, it's pretty solid wingspan as well. I love some of these dunks that he's getting up. He seems to be getting great elevation and finishing off the on the break. We know Barrett's been really solid as a player in transition. That's been far from any kind of weakness on RJ. We've seen way worse players finishing in transition on the Knicks. Some of his issues have been, though, have been decision making. Knowing when to pass the ball, when to bully into the traffic. Hopefully he's worked on the floater as well. I think that's going to be a big weapon for RJ Barrett, the floater game. Because, there's going to be some trees where he just can't finish over. And I think every player in the league should have the floater in their arsenal. In fact, that's one of the things I've noticed in FIBA. There's been too many guys barreling into guys, too many offensive fouls, too many shots blocked. It's like guys having no court awareness. I'm talking about other teams, other players. I've noticed nobody's using the floater game as much, right? In FIBA, you can swat the ball off the rim. There's been a lot of teams with no athleticism, try to finish over people. Kerry with the comp with Chris Middleton. I want RJ to be that Chris Middleton type of player. In terms of, man, I would love that offensively. Mid-range, solid shooting from deep. Chris Middleton's obviously got that extra length. But I'm not ruling that out. I think RJ Barrett's ceiling for me is still wide open. We obviously factor in a lot of things. He was drafted third, and I understand people expected him to be an all-star level player by his 5th season. And I also understand the fact that he's been in the league for 4 seasons already. So people want more. What also can't be ignored is he's still very young in the landscape of the NBA. We've seen guys like Julius Randle pop after 25. But it is a big year. It is a big year, no doubt. I think he's had a huge summer in terms of working on things with Drew Hanlon. And we're seeing it in this tournament. We are seeing some growth in terms of the uptick in the shooting percentage as well. Less turnovers. So yeah, the efficiency is going to be key with the Knicks. If he's going to be still the third option on the Knicks, catching and shooting, just quick decision making, and efficiency is going to be huge for the team. But yeah, I'm banking on some great improvement from RJ this season. If he can start the season well, start the season hot, that'll be a factor that we haven't had in the previous few seasons, especially factoring in that we have Josh Hart and DiVincenzo now. So I think people are still sleeping on us. Charles Barkley was 6'4" in my memory as well, but built like a truck. In terms of that, Josh Hart is really more athletic, I feel. Not as big, obviously, more athletic. But one of the best rebounders in the NBA, not just one of the best rebounding guards. It's been a joy to watch. Yeah, we can't ignore the defense as well. I've been talking about that a lot, JJ, and I chat about RJ's, ability to be a good off-ball defender as well. So I think that's really going to help this team. Scoring shouldn't be his major priority, I feel. I feel it should be all-round game. Also want to touch on some other news dropped. The NBA released a statement regarding experienced, renowned referee Eric Lewis was currently being investigated for his activity on social media, using some burner accounts, right? Some news dropped, which is quite significant. Eric Lewis has decided to inform the NBA that he's retiring. Now there has been some accusations. Eric Lewis, his family, with ties supporting Boston Celtics, I believe. And so, yeah, Eric Lewis has announced his retirement. But in light of his decision, the NBA's investigation into his social media activity has been closed. So maybe closed to the public. I'm sure the NBA has probably done their investigation or still maybe investigating behind the scenes, but we won't hear about it, unfortunately. So, yeah, Kerry, he hung the whistle up, man. It's kind of fishy That's all I can say. I mean, who the hell knows? We're speculating, but everyone got their reasons. He's not the youngest guy, so, you know, in any normal circumstance, if he was just retiring, no one would blink twice. But the fact that he's being investigated, or was being investigated, and has decided to retire, I mean, I'm sure he's under some stress. I'm sure it must be stressful for the family, being in the spotlight, having all of that. But, man, you got to know, when you are an NBA referee, you are a player, you're in the spotlight. And, man, obviously I'm all about innocent until proven guilty. But the thing that kind of is eye-opening is that the investigation's closed. We're just not going to know, just because of the fact that he's retiring. Yeah, man, like, I mean, a lot of us are old heads. We've been watching the league for a long time. We've seen some other situations where it's suspect, you know, suspect officiating, suspect refereeing, maybe not due to supporting a team, but maybe due to wagering, betting. Could we hear more about this? I doubt it, but who knows, man. Someone might want to make a name for themselves and continue to investigate. We'll see on that note. But the other part of the news, obviously we talked about last show, MSG only received a 5-year permit, operating permit, from the New York City, the council. So that's going to limit their operation to 5 years. James Dolan, MSG, wanted a lifetime extension. Obviously, a lot of urban planners, and you know, they're hoping for MSG to be relocated so that the Penn Station revamp can go ahead, and they can improve the facilities. But MSG is not going anywhere for right now. Don't worry. 5 years, MSG will still be there. Hopefully we'll win our championship at the current MSG within the next 5 years. I mean, who knows? I could see it getting another 5-year extension after this, another 3-year extension. But we'll wait to see. We're also waiting on any new news about the potential lawsuit between the New York Knicks and Toronto Raptors. Now, the NBA still hasn't made any statement, any comment about this at all, which is surprising to me. No doubt the Knicks have decided to go around the league, not probably let the league even handle it at all. So what are they after? Are they after trying monetary compensation? Are they trying to ridicule the Toronto Raptors? Are they trying to get people fired? Are they trying to get pick compensation? I think a lot of the facts are going to tell everyone just how serious this is. The level of evidence, I mean, we know what they're accusing them of and some of the facts that have come out. But the evidence relating to this is really going to tell a lot. A lot of eyes around the league are watching this as well, because to some people it's just the norm. It's just what happens. Like, people work for an organization and they bring some of their intel. But to some people, this is more deeper than that. It's possibly a deeper level of corporate espionage, which is illegal. But it's interesting that it's a civil suit, right? So, yeah, civil suits, we know there's no criminal charges at this stage being alleged. Kerry says Penn Station needs to move to the post office across the street. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens within the next 5 years as well. We'll no doubt hear about it. But yeah, I don't think with James Dolan spending money on the revamp like less than 10 years ago, around 10 years ago, he wasn't planning on having to move MSG anytime soon, man. He spent that huge boatload of money on the Sphere in Vegas as well. Obviously, the other news we talked about is with Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Do you think it's down between the Lakers and the Knicks if Giannis was to entertain leaving Milwaukee? Well, it sounds like he is entertaining it. He has thought about it. Obviously, it's down to what Milwaukee do this season. Like, how good do they look? How healthy is Middleton? I mean, winning cures all, really, with this situation. And I think if Middleton is healthy, they look great. They make the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals. I think that's going to play a huge key. But anything short of that, man, that's going to get a lot of attention, and it's going to get Giannis really thinking about the next phase of his career. Obviously, the Knicks have positioned themselves to be attractive. We talked about that last show in depth about, the Knicks having movable contracts, draft picks, that we're winning, so we can appeal to another star. All of those things. So that's great, and I do think that that's going to continue to be a huge factor, right? Yeah, could he entertain the Lakers? Sure, that's out of our control, but we're controlling what we can control. And right now, we've got great young players that would be attractive to other teams. We've got a team that's really competitive. We're in the biggest market, the world's most famous. And I'm sure a star is going to choose New York based on the trajectory that the Knicks are going in right now. Right, it's so different to 2010, different to 2013 when we had aging stars like Jason Kidd, guys like J.R. Smith that weren't locked up long term. All of those things. It's just such a different situation, really. In terms of attractiveness, we haven't been this attractive since the late 90s. I think. So, yeah, something's got to give with that. Yeah, MSG is an absolute landmark. Yep, 100%. If I'm a betting man, I'd say it's not going anywhere. I would say they're just going to do this short-term extensions. They're just not going to do the 10-year ones that they used to. Might be 5 and 5s, 5 and 3s, all of those things. What's good, Trini? Facts, for the Knicks to be formidable, RJ needs to start good off the rip. Hopefully the mid-season tournament, with these high-level games will help. Yep, most definitely. I think the biggest thing, fam, is familiarity. I think these guys kind of know their roles. Like, Barrett's not coming into Knicks training camp thinking, I need to learn my role. He knows the role because Brunson and Randall are still here. In fact, he might obviously have more reps off the bench. He might need to play a little bit of power forward off the bench. He might run some more offense off the bench. But playing alongside Quickly and Hart is something that's familiar to him. Sherwin's not as high on his growth. But look, 23 years old. Like I said, we've seen guys like Wiggins pop later. We've seen guys like Randall pop later. In fact, give me Chris Middleton at 23. I don't think we were talking about Chris Middleton like this at 23. But obviously you can't say this forever. It's a huge season coming up. RJ Barrett's been in the league for 5 years. So this is around that time where we should see an uptick, right, in your 5th year in terms of the shooting, decision making, handles, all of those things. And I think he can definitely outplay the contract. Yeah. MSG, the world's most famous arena, Giannis 2024, fam. You're high on it, Michael. I think it's a real possibility. out of Embiid or Giannis. I just think we just got to handle what we can handle. And I think when the time is right, if one of these guys asks out, the Knicks will be sitting there pretty. We'll be sitting there waiting. Right now, it'll look even better if we can knock them off in the playoffs. That'll look even better as well. We just got to keep winning. This may not be a popular opinion, but if the Knicks were to make the second round, look really, really competitive again, and lose in the second round, that wouldn't make this season a failure to me. There would be other factors I would look into. Would be internal growth. Obviously, how we looked in the playoffs would be big. But my point is just to continue to be consistent. Don't make the second round one year and then fall down and fall off, like we did after 2020. If we're perennial playoff contenders every single year, these players are going to stand up and notice. And obviously, they know Jalen Brunson's here long term. He's not going anywhere. Randall's locked up. Barrett's locked up on a contract. We don't have these moving pieces, these question marks that some of these other teams have. Like, to me, I don't think anyone can look at Toronto as like some super stable team environment, right? There's all these rumors they're going to trade Pascal. Are they keeping OG? Are they not? They've just signed their plan B point guard, Dennis Schroeder. Truth is, they don't know what they're doing. And it kind of looks like Milwaukee don't know what they're doing either. Is Giannis staying? Is he going? Is Middleton going to come back healthy? What's his long-term future? What's Drew Holiday's long-term future? Right. One could argue the Knicks are actually the most, probably next to the Celtics, the most stable situation in the Eastern Conference. Right. You can't even look at Cleveland like that. No one knows if Spider Mitchell is going to bail or request out in 1 year's time. So the Knicks have these contracts. They're locked up. They have stability. A lot of these teams don't have stability right now. And yeah, like I said, Giannis could choose any other team, but we're basically handling what we can handle. And that's all that matters. We can't control another player choosing us. You know, that's their decision. But we can get ourselves right first. What's good, Shannon? Yep, salute. RJ, Brunson, Hart, Fournier, Billy, Rokas are playing well. Yeah, good to see some former Knicks still ball out. I think you got, Iggy Brazdegas, Rokas, and Valanciunas. I look forward to seeing them against USA in a knockout game. Basically, that's going to mean a lot, that game. And it's going to show that, you know, whoever can really win that is going to probably get through to that next round. And that game's at a good time. Lithuania on Sunday, 8:40 a.m. These games on ESPN2 or ESPN Plus for the non-USA games as well. So, as I mentioned earlier in the show, that'll be Team USA's biggest competition, Lithuania, so far. I think Montenegro can be solid, Vucevic, but they don't really have much of a rest of the squad, I think. So, yep. What's good, building blocks? Salute. Eastern Conference Finals or bust for the upcoming season. We have to progress. Yeah, I can understand that. I really can. And I want that more than anything. I want the Knicks to definitely get to that next stage. It left me a big sour taste in my mouth for being eliminated by the Heat. And I think playoffs are it's tricky because it's matchup dependent as well. A second round exit on the surface could still look like we haven't made any progress. But it comes down to the matchups, I guess. If we were to lose to Giannis and the Bucks in the second round, or the Boston Celtics in the second round, that would have me feeling a bit different than it was losing to the Heat. The Heat, I really expected I thought we should have beat the Heat and I thought we should have beat them. I think health was another issue with that. I think being out-coached as well. But yeah, I think it would look, to that point, it would look even more attractive for everyone around the league for the Knicks to get to that third round and to really then show we're like, okay, we're playoffs, we're second round, we're third round. It's time for Giannis or Embiid to come and put us over the top as well. The perfect thing is if, let's say, those two names, if one of those two were to leave their team, let's factor in, let's say they don't even go to the Knicks. Let's say Giannis leaves the Bucks and he goes somewhere else. Or Embiid leaves the Sixers and they go somewhere else. That's still better for the Knicks because they've made their teams weaker. We're instantly better than Milwaukee if Giannis leaves. If Embiid leaves the Sixers, we're instantly better than them. So we could be better than the other teams by default. Now, if those players were to choose the Knicks, then we'd be the top dog. We'd be the top dog in the East, and there wouldn't be any doubt about it. Better than Boston, better than Cleveland, better than Miami. There'd be no debating that as well. So I think, yeah, the East is going to be so fascinating, and I think we really deserve to be paired up with the heavyweights, I think, of the East because of all the question marks they have. I think the Knicks overall have either the same or less question marks now. And I think you're starting to see the national media start to really buy in. Obviously, we saw Bobby Marks. He buys into what the Knicks have been doing. We see some people talk about Philly, how that's an absolute dumpster fire right now. And then we have this Giannis bomb that might go off any minute. Obviously, what the Knicks are also trying to do is, they're smart with player relations. I talked about, why would we be interested in Thanasis Antetokounmpo? Well, with that situation it's player relations as well. Yeah, we might find some minutes for him, but it's all about relations as well. Out of sight, out of mind. If we're talking to Greek Freak's brother, we're at least in his periphery. You know what I mean? So I think, Leon Rose, right? A lot of people know the Leon Rose, the Knicks president, but they don't fully understand or know Leon Rose, the guy who started up a player agency from ground zero, from scratch, basically. This guy's level of detail, work ethic is insane. Let me tell you, we did a episode. If you haven't seen it, check it out. We did a Leon Rose Origins episode, and we talked to his very first NBA client, Chris Anstey. When Leon Rose first started a player agency, he was managing players overseas. He was traveling to Australia 6 times a year to just to stay on top of the game, build up his agency. Now, this guy works hard. He's got a high level of detail. That was decades ago. Now he's been around this NBA league for a long time. He knows the ins and outs. Now, with this Toronto case, some people said, how did the Knicks come to learn about it? Who found out about it? Who was investigating all those things? Well, it might well have been Leon Rose that pulled someone up on it, right? Because no doubt, once the Knicks found out this guy was leaving the Knicks and going to the Raptors, questions would have been asked, right? The Knicks wouldn't have just said, "All right, here you go. Here's your key. Hand back your keys. See you later." There would have been a proper investigation done after that. And Leon Rose, as president of basketball ops, might have been the dude to have asked some serious questions about it. You know what I mean? So nothing gets past this guy. Yet dirty salute. The teams above us are so thin, we can wear down any of them. Yep, especially if we're healthy. I mean, I always look back at last season, not that we lost to the Heat on talent. I'll always look back on it as we just weren't healthy at the time. We talk about game one, how close that was. And that, I think, my friend, would have changed everything. Especially relating to Julius Randle. Quentin Grimes obviously was a big factor as well. We could talk about Brunson was injured, but the fact that he was performing at such a high level wasn't much of a factor, I think. Obviously, and Tibbs' adjustments. I agree with it was the wrong decision to start to start Josh Hart in the playoffs. Quentin Grimes should have been that guy. But Tibbs is always going to go with that experience, I think. He probably thought against the Heat, we could grind them down, we can outwork them. We could wear down Jimmy Butler with Josh Hart. But unfortunately, we lack the shooting offensively. What's good, Lonnie says, our stubborn coach Tibbs wouldn't have made the switch that Steve Kerr made with Josh Hart. Yeah, I think obviously Team USA can afford the luxury of doing probably more tinkering. But I'm sure Tibbs is a big fan of Hart still, and is a guy who has his full faith. But Brandon Ingram hasn't looked the best. I think it's been a slightly easier move than people think for Steve Kerr. Brandon Ingram really needs the ball to operate. And if you've got Brunson and you've got Ant-Man, you kind of don't need Brandon Ingram on the ball a lot. I think he's better getting up and down with Tyrese and with Austin Reeves off the bench. But yeah, in terms of FIBA, right, I've noticed it being more physical. So RJ Barrett's been adjusting well. Brunson's been adjusting. And so has Josh Hart, pulling in 12 rebounds. So these guys are just kind of making their names known to those that aren't familiar with their games. We're familiar with what they can do. But yeah, the come from behind win was impressive against Latvia, because that gave them a big scare. That was interesting, that game. I kind of tuned out later in the game and then saw that Canada pulled out a huge win. So their athleticism, their talent is going to be tough to beat. SGA, probably player of the tournament so far. I think other guys have been really solid. Obviously, Karl Anthony Towns has been great. And some of these other teams have had some great performers as well. I'm really looking forward to the second round. Yep. Just like Michael, the chat said. What are you most interested in seeing? Let us know. I think that Canada, Spain, Brazil, Latvia group is just going to be really interesting, competitive. As is the other one with Slovenia and Luka, Germany and Schroeder, and Josh Giddey's been outstanding for Australia. 20-year-old leading the point guard spot has Josh Giddey. Been flirting with the triple-dub most games like Luka. But I think the USA have got an easier side of the draw. I think once they get through, they'll face either Dominican Republic and Serbia in the quarterfinals. So I would love to see them against Dominican Republic, go up against Cat, and then see. And then they'll probably find themselves, in a matchup with probably Germany or Slovenia. I think if they were to get through that round. And then I think all eyes are, leaning towards Canada and Team USA meeting in that final round. Man, that's going to be must-see TV with Bully Barrett, SGA, up against Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. Yeah, that's something that holds up too. I think Josh Hart's rebounding next to Triple J is great. Don't forget, Triple J goes up for the block all the time. That can leave the team vulnerable to an offensive rebound. Jay Dragon says, in FIBA, you got to play by the rules. There's been some dudes a bit frustrated by the rules. Best believe that. It's an adjustment. Nick Yak says Ingram wasn't playing as well in the read and react offense like Kerr and Tibbs plays than Hart has been balling at. Yep. Yeah, I could see that as well. Also, they got the luxury of tinkering. As I said, man, these opponents, it's not like if USA put out their weakest starting five that they still wouldn't win the game. But credit to Josh Hart because he's really earned his starting spot. He's obviously convinced the coach that I'm the best option. I'm the best fit. And I salute to him. That's great. Bringing what he brings, which is defense, rebounding, and savviness, smarts, knowing when to kick the ball, good at getting steals, etc. Now, I'm expecting this second round to be very competitive still. Obviously, talent versus talent. The NBA has the best talent. But with 40-minute games, you could get a jump on a team. If you start hot, you could find yourself in a hole. Really can. So getting out to fast starts is really good. Good for Canada, Barrett, to get used to getting off to a fast start. You can't always come from behind. Best believe that. Against New Zealand, Jordan, Latvia, you can come from behind. But if Jonas Valanciunas, Rokas Jokubaitis are good, playing well, then they're not going to go away. If a team like Karl Anthony Towns, Dominican Republic, are shooting the lights out, then good luck coming from behind, etc. But there's definitely a weaker pool this year in my eyes. France are gone. Spain don't have Ricky Rubio. They're some of their guys. France are going to have to call upon, for next year's Olympics, Vicky Wembanyama and possibly Joel Embiid. But obviously USA will have a bolstered squad, probably with Steph Curry, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, probably Kevin Durant might want to go out on a high. LeBron James, possibly even, who knows? It's probably going to be the most contested Olympics in recent history, I think. Germany will have a more seasoned Franz Wagner. Obviously, Canada will have Murray. They'll have Andrew Wiggins, possibly. Benedict Mathurin. Andrew Nembhard. So, next year's Olympics is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. But like I said, let's hope they can get the medals, the gold, the silver for Canada and USA. Face a huge game in the final round. I saw Luka and Slovenia, but I'm not impressed so far by their team. I think, obviously, Luka's a one-man wrecking crew, but I don't think they're actually going to struggle in this current group. I think Germany have got their measure, and I think Australia, if things are clicking, will beat Slovenia as well. So I think we might end up seeing Luka go home in this round. Franz Wagner is injured. He's not going to partake until the quarterfinals at least. He's in a walking boot. yeah, we know about the rising international players in the league as well. It's also a credit to the NBA that inspired these young kids growing up in other countries. We've seen so many photos of a young Luka wearing a Carmelo jersey. A young Jokic was growing up, following teams as well. I think USA and the NBA has helped the game grow around the league more than anywhere, I think. Obviously, they'll have their local idols that they idolize growing up, but I think it's definitely inspired a lot of growth. I think France can be scary if Victor Wembanyama ends up being legit. We're going to see some really good competition in the future years to come as well. I think it'll get to the point where obviously the USA will field the most talented team every time, but it won't always be like we're expecting gold. Like in the last 50 years, it was like gold or nothing. I think more, probably in the next 20 years, it's going to be more of like, okay, we'll be expected to be in the top 3 or something like that. What's good? R. De La Cruz. RJ did not up his 3 shooting. International line is closer than the NBA. That is a factor, 100%. Obviously, he can only shoot where he can shoot. He's being efficient in this tournament. The 3-point line is closer in. I think the biggest factor is he's playing with great teammates as well, and he's playing against easier competition, which is why I don't read a lot into the group stage. But in the knockout stage, guys are going to defend like crazy. They're going to be up on you. They're playing for pride. They're playing for a medal. So this knockout round is going to tell us a lot more, similar to a playoff environment as well. I think the playoff environments will be the area that we judge the most improvement for the Knicks and the Barrett this upcoming season. But yeah, these tournaments, the best you can offer, the closest thing is medal rounds, knockout rounds. And with that said, I think it's exciting, and I think these guys are going to be ready to show what they can do and produce. As we get ready for the second round, we'll preview it. We'll get online just before this next round and we'll talk about it. But it's been great chopping up as the Knicks advance into the knockout stages of FIBA. And all of our guys are playing pretty well, helping their teams. Right, great off-season, big tick for the Knicks so far. And more NBA level talent awaits in the next round, as we've talked about the matchups, and all that's left is to play the games now. Will we see a huge performance from Barrett playing against Spain, against Brazil? Will that open up more people's eyes? We'll wait and see. But the USA, Josh Hart in the starting unit with Brunson, right, building more chemistry with Mikal Bridges, Ant-Man. They look formidable, and they're my favourites for the gold. And best chat in the biz, salute, replay gang. The streets are buzzing, smashing that like button. We moving on, and we wait to see. But we'll wait to see what happens with the Knicks this season in the playoffs, and which next star wants to come to the Mecca. And I think we're in the best position we've been in basically since the late 90s as a franchise, right? Draft picks, players still with improvement to make, consistency, all of that. More respect coming our way as well. Now we'll get into it in the next show. Peace. Talk soon.